Hey, hey, community. I hope everyone out there is doing amazing, having an awesome week. So glad to be with you guys live today. Today's going to be fun. I am in the studio with a brilliant woman, somebody I cannot wait to share with my community. And we're going to be talking about, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Tracy. I'm
Oh
so
my
excited.
gosh, I'm so excited to have you. Let's just start first. Before we get into this conversation, tell our community a little bit about who you are, your background, your journey, and we'll get into mindful leadership today.
Absolutely. I am first and foremost grateful. My journey has had its ups and downs, and that's always the time we grow.
Yes.
But as a young girl from a small rural Tennessee town, I could not have imagined all the amazing people I would meet and experiences I would have. So, very grateful. Yeah. My career, I spent more than 25 years in risk management, insurance, claims field. The last 11 years, I was an executive at a local Fortune 40 company leading risk management. And, it was my dream job. And some days, Tracy, it was my worst nightmare.
I bet, yeah.
There were definitely times that I felt that I was out of my depth and I just wasn't sure I could do it. And while I was there, I was so blessed to work with a coach and get some training. And sometimes you just feel like you should know how to do this. But as it turns out, mentors, coaches, trainers can make such a big difference, and it was transformative. And it started with getting to know myself more. Mm-hmm. I learned that actually I'm a natural teacher, and I was an adjunct professor for a few semesters. So, when the time came for a change and I was ready to leave that corporate world, the natural thing for me was coaching.
Wow.
Coaching and training, helping other leaders to really not only perform better, but have more joy in it, and see people excel. It just makes me so happy to do that. So
that's awesome.
So that's how I got into this business.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you were just kind of talking about through your process and through some of the things you're going through, you learn more about yourself and discovery of who you naturally are, propelling you into where you are going now.
That's where it all starts.
Wow.
Leadership starts with self-leadership.
Yeah.
Because who you are as a person is who you are as a leader. You can't separate those.
Yeah. Say that one more time, Valerie.
Who you are as a person is who you are as a leader.
That's big.
You can't separate it.
That's big. Yeah. And as I hear that, I can hear that evolving and changing, especially if we are doing the work.
Absolutely.
If we are doing the work, kind of like you just said on your journey, some of the mentorships, the coaching that you had allowed you to learn more about yourself. So if we're intentionally doing the work, the reflection and the person that we are should be evolving and changing. And that should come out in our leadership styles.
That's absolutely. You're spot on, Tracy.
That's good.
Studies have shown the two reasons that leaders fail are because of failed relationships or not continuously learning. You just touched on that continuous learning. So, I've never seen any leader at any level that didn't have more growth they could do, some area they could learn more. It's never ending. And to me, that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about this. When I think about the journey and the phase that I'm in now and this big part of that self-discovery, self-care, self-work, mental fitness, I remember working at a company a couple years ago, probably 2014 or so. When I was thinking about leadership, the questions that I would always ask, who are some of the leaders that I've had in my journey, in my past, that I really could look up to? And a lot of those things were external. But now on the journey of doing internal work, it's like, what do I want to have as characteristics for myself? Who am I? What kind of leader do I want to be? So talk about that for a bit, especially coming from Fortune 500 companies, from the industry that you've been working in. Yeah. What were the biggest challenges you saw as some of those top leaders and executives? What were the biggest challenges that people faced trying to lead a big organization like that?
It has so many challenges, and it's so easy. Many of my clients come to me, and I was the same way when I was younger, feeling like I have to have all the answers.
Yeah.
I have to have all the knowledge. I have to let others know that I'm smart. The key is, as it turns out, you have to care. Knowledge is important, but it doesn't matter if you don't care about the people around you, if you're not a great listener and interested in what others have to say. And you have to care about the mission of the organization. So all of the facts, all of the information is useless without having, the heart, the compassion, the empathy. A great question is far better than a great answer.
The value of questions.
Yeah.
The value of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense. You have to care. You have to want to know more. It has to be less about you. Less about you and more about team and the impact and where you're going. So let's talk a little bit. Your role, you're a leadership coach. Tell us a little bit more about what that means. Who do you work with? Who are your clients? What's your role look like on a day-to-day basis?
Sure, I'd love to. And if I can start with debunking what I think is a myth, and at least for some people and some organizations, is around, they're sending me to a coach. I must be in trouble. I'm not doing a good job. It's a problem. And that couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yeah.
Coaches can help every leader to take their strengths and make them superpowers, to help with tough decisions, to really get unstuck, to go deep and figure out what is holding me back. For me, as I described my journey a bit, working with that coach, for the first time ever, I had the recognition that I wasn't sure I was qualified, that I deserved to be where I was, sort of that imposter syndrome. And once I knew that, to me, what drives me, and really being dialed in, and there are all sorts of tools, Tracy, self-assessments, a 360 assessment is a great tool for people to see how they're showing up with other people. Every one of us has a blind spot.
Yes.
Where, we think we've got it dialed in, and somebody's going, that's not my experience, and it's finding out what it's like to be on the receiving end of us, right?
Yes. I gotta interject a quote there, because I actually wrote one down, like one of my favorite quotes that I've been looking at. To know yourself, you must sacrifice the illusion that you already do.
Oh my goodness.
To know yourself.
Now I've got to write that down.
You must sacrifice the illusion that you already do. So when you just said that, right, having these blind spots, how we perceive who we are and how other people are perceiving us and our energies could be totally different.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And here's the other thing. I talked earlier about the importance of caring.
Yeah.
And so often the leader cares, but they're not sure how to bring it forward. Because, there's that struggle to be vulnerable, to show who you are, or to have an emotion. A lot of the fields I worked in, very male-dominated fields, and this is not on the guys, it's on me. But I thought, I can't cry at work. Oh my gosh, I can't show emotion. I got to be tough. And only when people can see who you are can they really trust you.
Right. And even going a little further and asking for help. I'm a leader of my companies now, and just from a place of sports and athletics and just independence and getting things done, switching the mind that, wait, you're building a team and you have people on your team that want to help you, and what can you delegate and get off of your plate so they can, my team is more than willing and wants to help. And so as a leader, at times it's like, oh yeah, you got people that can help you do this. You don't have to do it all. And so when you think about up and coming leaders and entrepreneurs starting out on a solo ride and then building and growing and going into something that's having more legs, how do you teach the delegation piece and that component of mindset of, it's okay to ask for help.
For
You don't
sure.
have to do it all. You have capable people around you, willing and able. And if you don't, some companies and leaders don't have that. But when you have that available and at your disposal, making sure that everybody feels like they are a part of that team is important. And as leaders, I think that's something that we constantly, and it's a daily thing. It's not something that you master.
Yeah.
It's something that I know for myself personally that I work on daily. And it's just being able to kind of delegate and let people know how they can support me and how I can support them. Speak a little to that piece of it.
Sure, absolutely. One of the really important things is making sure that you're aligned on the vision. So if you want someone to do something for you, if you're going to delegate, making sure that they understand the bigger picture of what it means, what it's contributing to, and setting clear expectations and then letting it go. And you check back later, but they may not get there the same way you would.
Right.
And being okay with that.
Yeah.
And what I found is they got there in a lot better way than I did.
Yeah.
I always tried to hire really smart people and then just let them go. And the thing, people want to rise to a challenge. They want to do difficult things and have that accomplishment. And as leaders, we have to allow that. Make sure they get the vision, make sure they understand what the company's about, what the characteristics, and then
Trust the process.
trust it.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We have people that are capable, willing, and want to know that they're valuable, and being able to trust that once you share that vision, give it out there, allow it to unfold. And it might not look the way that you thought, but it might be even better.
Yeah.
Creative energies coming together.
Absolutely. And you're always going to go back. You're always going to go back and say, how we doing? How we doing? And we can tweak. But yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, Valerie, share some of the things for you. When we think about, I have to always ask this question, mental fitness.
Yeah.
And what mental fitness means to you. What are some of the things that mental fitness means to you, and how do you stay mentally fit as a leader and as a coach?
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
And that's what you and I connected on from the start.
Yes.
Is our shared belief. So Mental Edge was so great for me. When I started, I had that squirrel brain that, didn't want to stay in one place and sort of overthinking. And it was so amazing, it subtly changed where I could really focus.
Yeah.
And that tedious spreadsheet the task I had to do to stay in that spreadsheet for several hours, I was able to really focus. And not once did I go, oh, wait, let me go Google. Oh, how old is Paul McCartney? Okay, no. Spreadsheet. Squirrel. Yeah. So that's what I would have done before. But I was able to stay focused, and there's just nothing better than calm, focus, confidence. So powerful. So that was super helpful. Meditation is helpful. Reversing thoughts, and I think the brain training at Mental Edge, the meditation, they really help us to monitor our thoughts and then question them.
Yeah.
So if that negative voice is saying you don't belong here, this is not, you can say, is that true? And really
That's big.
really not allow that negativity and those things in. Other ways of fitness, though, is continuous learning.
Yeah.
I just stay curious, reading books, listening to podcasts, meeting new people, going new places. The world is big.
Yeah.
And the more new experiences, I think, just expand our perception, our possibilities. So I think that's huge. And, of course, the physical part. Breathing, just breathing exercises, physical exercise, even postures. And you may know about Amy Cuddy's TED Talk that jillions of people have seen, with the superhero stance.
Yes.
But it's all connected, mind, body, it's all connected. So,
Big. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your experience at Mental Edge. One of my companies at Mental Edge, we do the brain training, and all of my team, we do that as well as leaders. And being able to have you in there and go through that experience and in 3 months feel a difference
For
in
sure.
terms of your focus. And you're so right. Our thoughts have so much power. We can't believe what we're always thinking.
That's right.
And so
Yeah.
we're not, as leaders, willing to do that self-work and self-reflect. We may be believing thoughts about ourselves or about others that are just not true, but never even coming to awareness that's going on.
Absolutely.
And so I hear the importance of having tools in place, coaches in place, strategies in place to make sure that we are first looking at self.
Absolutely.
Starting there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and the next level really with leaders is something known as vertical learning. So if you think about the difference between adding apps, so if I take a class and I learn about a topic, that's like adding an app to my phone. This is like updating the operating system. So it's broad thinking. It's both and polarity thinking, receiving the ideas of other people. So we really have to be have our brain reined in, not have it running wild in order to do some of these techniques that broaden our ability to take in all the possibilities.
Yes, and take in all the realities of what's going on right now. When I think about that, I'm thinking about some of the mindful leadership, the conscious leadership, EQ versus IQ leading, especially in the time right now. How do you encourage leaders leading through crisis? Because everybody's coming into situations and spaces and places with their own stuff. There's a lot of things going on right now about whether some companies that have gone remote trying to bring people back in, and people are like, yeah, no, I like this and we're more efficient this way. And so there's this push and pull. How do leaders lead effectively and be mindful? Let's talk a little bit about what mindful leadership is, but how do you lead mindfully through what we're dealing with right now?
Absolutely. Tracey, this is such a challenging time for leaders. The Great Resignation, so much change happening, so much crisis. You can't pour from an empty cup, as you know. So it starts with our own well-being, making sure we are protecting our energy through rest, through, all of the things, meditation, getting out in nature, whatever refills that energy, we have to have it to give it.
That's it.
And when we're giving it, it starts with understanding, standing in that other person's shoes, understanding how are you, what's going on for you, what's challenging you, what can I do, how can I support you. So
compassion and seeing other people. Me and my dad were just having a conversation about that yesterday. The ability to stand in somebody else's shoes and recognize that where you are right now and how you meet a person, you don't know what they've been through when you connect with them. But the ability to be compassionate and just have empathy, it matters.
It so matters. You can't possibly know the challenges someone else is going through, especially at work.
Right.
They're not going to share that. You just have to assume that there are difficult things.
Yeah.
They're human, so
Yeah.
there's going to be challenges, right?
Yeah.
And so to have that empathy and ask, how can I support you? And people want to be seen. You just said that.
Yeah.
People desperately want to be seen and want recognition for what they're doing,
And people are saying a lot even if they're not saying anything. I think
Oh, that's good.
if we
Yeah.
can start to pay attention, literally get up from our screens of our phones and put our eyes on people, they're saying so much without saying a word, and so you can look at body language and energy and how people describe you, really asking those types of questions, and messages are being said, and so as leaders being able to really self-reflect, and we keep going back to this self-awareness, it starts with us. You're right, we can't give what we don't have. We can't give what we don't have, so we have to be intentional about spending time. And I loved how we started this show today. You started the show with an intention. You were intentional about what you wanted to have happen through our time together.
Sure.
I think that's big. I think that's big, and as leaders and walking out into your world, into your space before you leave your home community, as individuals, be intentional. What are you looking for? What are you wanting from yourself? What are you wanting to experience and connect with? There's so much power in that, in our thinking and our energy and what we're putting out there, because just pay attention. If you set an intention for 30 minutes out of your day or for an hour to start your day, see what happens if you're just saying, you know what, I intend for this to be fun. I intend for this to be informative, for us to make a connection. Whatever the intention is, start being intentional about your thoughts and how you want to start that day. Valerie, we got a couple minutes left. I want you to kind of share any tips and strategies. I think you've shared them all throughout. But number one, how can people reach you? And as we are trying to be more mindful leaders, leading from our best selves, where would you say the first place we need to start? If we're on this journey of saying, you know what, I can be better as a leader.
Absolutely. I
can be better as a coach, as a teacher, as a leader of my home. Where do I need to begin?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tracy, for the opportunity. I would love to talk with you. My website is valeriewfranco.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Valerie W. Franco. And I would say, as we've said all along, start with yourself. What are your strengths? Who do you want to be in this world? What do you want to bring to this world? And then ask for help, whether it's a coach or a or a friend. We're not on this journey alone. We need each other.
We do.
And we get energy and we're lifted by one another.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And you're so right. We're not on this journey alone. And a lot of the questions that we're asking of ourselves, best believe that somebody else is asking that same question. And so there's so much power in just sharing and being open and honest that we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And that we're all kind of in different spaces and places coming together, sharing our knowledge, gaining our knowledge, working on ourselves, and we can add value.
Oh, yeah.
We can add value.
Yeah.
And so aligning yourself with a team and a community that are kind of in a place or a space that you aspire to be, but not afraid to ask for help.
Ask for help, continuous learning.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want my community to go out and shine bright like the stars that we are. We will see you guys next week. Valerie, I can't thank you enough for your time.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
All that you do.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're
Thank
so
you
welcome.
so much.
Shine bright like the stars we are. We'll see you later, community.
That's it for today's episode of Mental Fitness Matters. Get more tips, tools, strategies, and solutions that will help you reach your peak mental fitness by joining Tracy every Thursday from 8:30 to 9 a.m. and 6:30 to 7 p.m. for Mental Fitness Matters on News Talk WSIC.
Lake Norman, North Charlotte. News Talk at 100.7 FM, 105.